Okay.
Welcome to Lawyer Flash, where we explain the law. There are legal issues swirling around us and impacting us in ways most people cannot even imagine. I'm your host, Jon Deer, and I'm here to explain it all. That is the sound of you agreeing to a lengthy and complex contract with terms you have probably not even guessed. For example, in the news this week, a couple was surprised to learn they'd been charged $3,500 as a penalty for posting a bad review of an online vendor. They did not realize the contract contained this penalty provision when they clicked, "I agree." Many people believe the contracts are not enforceable because they're long, nobody actually reads them anyway, and they're difficult to understand. So what is the law? The law is that as long as some simple conditions are met, the contract is enforceable. The web company cannot have hidden the fact that you're agreeing to a contract, and you must have an opportunity to read it. As long as those conditions are met, you are bound by the contract. There are a few exceptions for very crazy provisions in a contract that's one-sided like this, which is called an adhesion contract. In those limited cases, you may have some relief from the most onerous of the provisions. So what's in those agreements? It depends on the good or service you are purchasing. Here are some of the things to look out for. Indemnification provisions provide that you will cover the cost of any claims against the company related to your use, even if those claims are by somebody you don't even know. Waiver of a right to a jury trial by agreeing to an arbitration clause. This means you don't get to go to court. Instead, you go to an arbitrator. Waiver of claims. Many of the claims that you think you might be able to bring if the company breaches its end of the deal, you have waived. Waiver of many privacy rights. Often you give up the right to privacy of much of the information you provide to the website. And finally, some new clauses appearing by very unscrupulous companies, including the so-called penalty clause for posting negative reviews. They're currently being litigated in the courts, and we can hope that these will be determined to be one of those very onerous provisions that are unenforceable in this kind of a one-sided adhesion contract. However, the law is very unclear, and at the moment, these unscrupulous companies are attempting to enforce those provisions. In summary, when you click "I agree," you probably are bound by all the terms of that lengthy contract that you haven't read and really couldn't understand even if you did. It's a legal fiction, and if you have a problem with that fiction, as many consumer advocates do, you may want to write your congressman and see what can be done to provide some protections for you in the law. That's our show for this week. You can find us here each week at lawyerflash.net or youtube.com/lawyerflash. You can also leave me a comment at our Twitter feed and check out our Facebook page. But mostly, subscribe, subscribe, subscribe. I'm your host, Jon Deer. We'll see you next week right here on Lawyer Flash.